You think prayer begins when you choose it. You set an intention, speak a phrase, and consider the act complete when the phrase ends. Yet Yunus Emre challenged this order. He said that prayer may not start with language or decision. It may begin earlier, at the level of simple awareness. If awareness is present before words, then prayer might already be happening before you act. In that case, the role of will is not to produce worship, but to recognize it. You begin to wonder whether your effort is late to an event already underway. If the ground of consciousness is prior to speech, is prayer an achievement or a disclosure? Do you pray by starting, or do you awaken to what has never stopped? You reconsider your habits. You have treated prayer as a task among tasks, measured, contained, and checked for completion. You like this clarity because it let you know where devotion fits in a schedule. But that same clarity created division. It separated worship from the rest of life and protected a quiet assumption. Ordinary moments are secular. Sacred moments are exceptional. The more you examine this, the weaker it feels. If awareness can exist without special form, then perhaps devotion can exist without special moment. Your certainty matters. You face a doubt that does not aim to destroy faith, but to free it. If prayer depends on setting and sequence, is it fragile? If it does not, what have you been overlooking? Yunus Emre spoke from the world of 13th century Anatolia. He was shaped by Sufi practice that emphasized direct recognition over complex theory. His language was plain. His counsel was immediate. He called people back to what is most available: conscious presence, honest remembrance, unforced love. He did not reject forms. He insisted that forms without awareness are imitation. In his view, the reality to be remembered is present in every state, not only in ritual hours. This context matters because it shows that his claim did not arise from indifference to practice, but from a deeper demand. Let practice reveal what is constant, not what is occasional. You hear his central claim: awareness itself is worship. In third person, we can say, Yunus Emre defined remembrance as a state in which the mind does not attempt to possess reality, but allows it to be known. When awareness is steady, words are true because they reflect what is already present. When awareness is absent, even precise language is hollow. He did not ask you to abandon speech. He asked you to see speech as a sign, not a source. Under this teaching, prayer is continuous at the level of being and intermittent only at the level of attention. Thus, the work is not to manufacture holiness, but to remove distraction. If prayer is constant in reality and variable only in recognition, where does the burden of worship actually fall, on performance or on presence? You notice resistance. A part of you prefers effort, because effort is measurable and therefore comforting. You can count repetitions. You can record time. You can build a sense of progress. But the same structure builds a quiet pride. The I that measures also claims ownership of devotion. You begin to see a conflict. The self that wants to prove itself through prayer cannot easily accept a mode of prayer in which the self is not central. In third person, we can say, Yunus Emre warned that self-claim becomes a barrier disguised as discipline. The more the I takes credit, the less it can recognize what does not belong to it. If the deepest act of worship occurs when ownership falls away, can effort guided by ownership ever reach what lies beyond it? You test a different posture. Instead of striving to generate a state, you allow attention to rest in simple recognition. Reality is present before you form a thought about it. You notice that when you stop reinforcing the idea of being the doer, awareness does not collapse. It clarifies. In third person, Yunus Emre presented surrender not as loss but as accuracy. The mind stops pretending to cause what is already given. This shift is not passivity. It is precision. It removes unnecessary claims so that contact can be honest. You begin to experience prayer not as something you add to life, but as the way life discloses its source when you do not interfere. If this is true, is surrender weakness, or is it the only form of strength that does not distort? A realization forms. When attention is clear, the distinction between before prayer, during prayer, and after prayer becomes thin. The sequence remains useful for practice, but it no longer defines reality. In third person, Yunus Emre taught that continuous remembrance underlies episodic devotion. Practice points to a constancy it cannot contain. Words become accurate when they arise from this constant, and inaccurate when they replace it. You see why he insisted on inner simplicity. It protects the center from being traded for the sign. The revelation is quiet and firm. Worship does not begin with you. It begins with the one to whom worship belongs. Your role is participation, not authorship. If participation is the truth of devotion, what becomes of the old question, did I pray well enough today? You follow the thought to its end. If awareness is worship, then the purpose of form is guidance toward recognition. Form matters, but as a servant. In third person, Yunus Emre did not argue for less devotion. He argued for devotion that is honest about its source. When the claim of ownership softens, a stillness appears that is not empty. It is exact. It is the end of unnecessary movement. In that stillness, words do not need to force meaning. They simply align with it. Clarity becomes the measure. Is attention uncontrived? Is intention free of display? When these answers are yes, speech and silence bear the same truth. If both carry the same truth, which one is superior, and why would comparison be needed? You ask how to live this without abstraction. The shift is small and decisive. Treat awareness as primary in every action. Begin tasks by noticing that reality is present before the task. Continue tasks without the pressure to prove devotion through them. Conclude tasks by recognizing that presence did not depend on outcome. In third person, Yunus Emre would call this a return from performance to sincerity. It does not remove structure. It removes self-display. It does not deny effort. It purifies motive. In conversation with yourself, you can ask, again and again, am I recognizing what is constant here, or am I trying to create it? This single question resets attention. If recognition is available in all moments, which moments are left outside devotion, and who decides? You return to the opening question with a different mind. You once believed that prayer begins when you started and ends when you stop. Now you see another order. In third person, Yunus Emre taught that awareness precedes language and that worship belongs to the real before it belongs to the servant. Your role shifts from making to witnessing, from ownership to participation. Forms keep their dignity as signs. Presence keeps its primacy as truth. The result is quiet certainty. Nothing essential waits for you to manufacture it. You meet it by not hiding it. The line between life and worship dissolves. What remains is simple recognition. You do not begin prayer. You cease to interrupt it.